Hello everyone, how are you all? I hope you'd be fine. This is Ms. Sidra Kashif representing MSK Linguistics Center from Pakistan, Karachi, being a moderator, proprietor, plus EFL and IELTS instructor. It's my honor to have a really special guest from Poland. She is Blanka Pawlak. She is Delta and Business English instructor. It's our pleasure to talk about the relevant topic, business English, science of teaching and learning. In that, we would discover the main things, the main area relevant to the students or the teachers, the challenges they face, and their solutions. So let's be connected with us, whether you are a student or an instructor of English or arts, especially. Hello, Miss Blanca.
Hello, everybody.
Really,
Hello, Sidra. Thank you for having me. I would say good morning or maybe good evening, depending on your time zone, but it's good to be here. And I wanted to say hello to everybody.
really nice to see you here. It's our pleasure to have you for discussing about the relevant topic as per your expertise or qualifications.
Thank you one more time for having me. I will be more than happy to share everything I have and everything you ask about.
It sounds great. So could you please introduce yourself first to our audience, as the introduction I have given about you, it's not quite sufficient. You could elaborate about yourself very well.
All right, thank you. As you, Sidra, correctly said, I'm business English teacher and instructor. Additionally, I also specialize in English for specific purposes, and that is my area of work. I'm Delta qualified teacher, crazy about brain, science of learning, consciousness, and everything that's happening in our mind. Additionally, I specialize in critical thinking in education and incorporating mindfulness in education. And I have a great pleasure to cooperate also with teachers and educators around the world. I'm a founder of For English Sake, an educational lab that was inspired by educational psychology, science of learning, philosophy, and everything that can elevate our education. And additionally, I'm Educast International Academic Coordinator, Consultant, and Event Coordinator. So here I am.
Really nice to hear about you. Very interesting. Okay, Ms. Blanca, I have designed a few of the questions as
Mhm.
per our topic. So if you allow me, may I ask you?
Yes, fire away, everything you have.
Thank you so much. Okay, so first question is which which keys are concerned particularly for business English, whether it's writing or speaking?
Mm. And maybe I will start by disappointing you and everybody because my first answer will be it depends. Because from my experience and everything that I do, plus other trainings that I'm either a presenter at or a member and a participant, the conclusion comes that everything depends on the context. So you ask about certain skill areas, and I would say it all starts with needs analysis. So it all starts with your students, with the team, or with the company that you cooperate with. However, no matter the skill and the balance you are going to create, I would say everything has to be performance oriented. And purpose driven. That is the key that I would begin with, because we do know that in business English environment, and in general in business, what people value, they value clear, professional, and actionable communication. So they need to communicate with sense of purpose and have their own language identity. So no matter if you as a teacher, trainer, and a teacher or consultant with the team decide to focus more on speaking because that is the need of your students, or you focus more on writing, it doesn't matter. Still, you have to start with a purpose-driven curriculum. So everything that you design and everything that you work around should reflect current students' needs. So that would be my first thing. So we start with functional language. So by needs analysis, you can really help your students and the whole team and organization to decide what is the ratio, to what extent they must practice describing maybe trends, certain graphs. What is the ratio of writing reports? Are these technical reports only? How about participating in meetings? Because sometimes students of business English are not so purpose-driven in terms of meetings, because this is not the way they use English on daily basis. Very often along the journey, it can change, but once you begin with proper needs analysis, you will know what the balance you should prepare for them.
Yeah, initially I think so, to give them environment, because most of the students when they learn English as a second or third language, then they belong to or hail to various backgrounds. So it is very difficult to them. They are hesitated. They are not confident of speaking. Even they are not confident of standing in front of the public or their classmates. So we just have to give them environment to remove their hesitation, to make them confident. First of all, we have to start from their interests, that in which things or activities they are interested in, their introduction first, then interests like likes and dislikes, their activities they participate in on daily basis or relevant to future plans, or the activities they did in past, like their experiences or the
Mhm.
place they explore or explored. After that, after a week or two, it's okay, we just have to let them for 1 to 2 weeks. Then gradually we just have to
Mhm.
target the lesson or plan, whatever we have planned according to them, na? The content
Mhm.
which we design for them.
Exactly. So as you said, it all starts with proper communication. So like I get the impression and that the teacher, facilitator creates this bridge that is going to help for all sides, because sometimes you have to communicate with HR department in order to establish what the course will cover. And alongside, you have to communicate with students,
Hmm.
with potential investors, because sometimes companies invest in their employees. So this is like a giant field of communication. So once you start with proper questions and you make sure that everybody is being asked, then you can come to certain conclusions. Because if the organization is highly exposed to working in a cultural diversity background, then you might want and consider incorporating such elements in your business English course. If you know that this is just a small organization and their plan is not to expand on multinational market, maybe the question to ask is whether you really need to incorporate certain elements right now. So this is a pure negotiation, I would say, and a reflection. So it's good to reflect and just have this kind of culture of feedback with everybody on the board.
Indeed. First of all, we have to characterize them now, what they actually need, and how shallow they are, their learning capacity. After judging them, then after just designing the plan according to their requirements, then I think it
Yes.
will do.
Exactly, exactly. Because it happens to me very often, and when I speak with business English and English for specific purposes professionals, they very often repeat the same. Very often, the idea of what is needed for employees that is created by HR department is it's something entirely different to what employees actually see and want. And then you, as another part of this journey, you enter the stage and you also have your background, your ideas, and you all have to find sweet spot and a common ground, because one side might might get a false impression that in order to be better public speaker, they must master grammar, for instance. So yeah, it's an ongoing evaluation, communication, and feedback.
That's true. Okay, so let's move to another question.
Mhm.
How is technology measured to leverage business English guide?
Mhm. This is a nice question, and I think it's technology in general. It's helping us more and more, but it also depends on the situation. We have to be very careful. I wouldn't say that technology and newest apps and everything is a must-have in curriculum design. Again, it's about finding a proper balance. However, for sure, I'm a huge advocate in terms of using technology to enhance any business English course, no matter if it's long-term journey or a short one, because it can help employees and the whole teams just to go into the real world simulation. So like we firstly create this safe container for employees and students so they can really practice, they can really have the opportunity to use certain skills and the way of language in a given context. So tools like Zoom, Teams, any kind of recordings, virtual meeting role plays, the fact when you assign them to breakout rooms, when they have to cooperate, any kind of scenario-based simulation, when you help yourself with technology, it's going to help them tremendously. Additionally, technology can be used to provide certain feedback, of course, depending on the agreement and the vision of the course you all create. This feedback can be related to speaking. It can be a poll feedback. So everything is an ongoing process. However, the huge fact that you can simply record the session if you run online sessions, it's a giant opportunity for feedback and reflection. I would say I simply cannot imagine working in online environment and not using this option of recording. I know that lots of employees and teams are at the very beginning pretty shy, and they feel a sense of discomfort when they are noticed that everything will be recorded. By step, after all, they see a huge value in it. So this is something that I would say, even though you have face-to-face sessions, from time to time, recording your session with students is amazing. Additionally, some tools like WhatsApp, for instance, or Zoom recording opportunities, when they can send you a short voice message instead of writing. So they can focus on pronunciation, they can focus on other elements of language than writing. So we have like a huge field of using the technology. Additionally, you can incorporate authentic materials. So like you can create some working boards, not only on Zoom, but on other not devices, but software. So I would say all in all, plus including maybe if it's needed, AI-powered personalization, it's going to give you so many ideas that very often you might see the length of the course and come to the conclusion that you don't have time to use them all. So it's a matter of proper judgment, what will work the best for the team.
Yeah,
So
I do have same
personalization.
perspective relevant to it. As you mentioned, related to Zoom, WhatsApp recording, or the video call, whether it's on Zoom or any other website, or it could be Google Meet or StreamYard. If we do have face-to-face meeting rather than offline, so I think it will do to develop their confidence. They would be familiar with the technology, and gradually it will be really smooth way of learning.
Yes. Well, from my experience, most of professionals, I'm not going to risk to say that all of them, but most professionals, when they enter the area of business English course, they are already fluent with technology. Really. Sometimes they teach me additional options and perspectives on certain software that I haven't thought about, but we can show them another way of using them. So for instance, with the concept of certain apps and quizzes, instead of just creating mundane quiz, we can change it into flipped classroom opportunity and create accelerated learning. So before they enter the real-time presentation, we can really help them to deliver certain materials and tasks in order to prepare them for this moment. So I would say it's about a mutual journey and exploring for both sides very often.
If I talk about business communication to improve speaking or writing, so as compared to past, there is advanced technology right now. We do have internet, and we may utilize it in very useful ways. It's depend on the person how he or she uses. There are number of blogs to provide them to read about it. Gradually they just have to read it. They have to make themselves understand relevant to any news, or they can watch BBC, CNN, or other podcasts, like there is state TED podcast, where different educators or motivational speakers, they do have a conversation or speech relevant to any motivational topic, and they have multiple of the accents, and their pronunciation is much more better.
Yes,
So
exactly.
if they follow that, if they use it in good ways, so they could improve. As compared to past, we did have only books. We were dependent on books only, dictionaries. But
Yes.
now we do have advanced technology. We have to use it in fruitful ways to get advantages of it.
Yeah.
That will really work, I think so.
Yes, as you mentioned, but what you said, in a fruitful way, meaning that just to find a sweet spot, because we are already overloaded by technology, the amount of information, there is abundance of choices in terms of materials. Really, like if you spend some time and dig out, you can fish out so much of information and so many examples of materials that it can be overwhelming. So we have to be very careful to not overload also ourselves as teachers and trainers, but also our students. So that's why I always get back to proper needs analysis. What is the ratio of certain apps, additional elements of technology that you would like to use? And I would also encourage trainers at the same time with students just to create this kind of digital minimalism. This is the kind of idea that I remember last year during our EduCast international conference, Dylan Gates mentioned, based on Cole Newport's deep work and minimalism. So just to not choose so many apps, quizzes, software solutions, platforms, because we can really get lost. So I would vote for a model of recycling. So choosing a few options that are going to help many teams that I cooperate with. So students get into this habit, and we help them to create this habit loop to be very consistent, because it's very easy to get lost and get just about one particular new app, and then after a month not creating they end up not creating any particular habit, learning habit. So there is always a risk with abundance of choices, I would say.
I agree with that. Right. Okay, so we just have to move to another question. It's what sort of assessments are productive and most useful in business English communication?
Mm. Again, I would start with it depends on your needs analysis and what your team actually needs. Because maybe traditional language tests are becoming largely ineffective. But if yes, why? What is the context? Again, I would start with any performance-based assessment. So any presentation related to your team's context, whether it's just a presentation in terms of selling, presentation using charts or KPIs, is it negotiation, pitch delivery, for instance, in IT environment, any scenario-based and decision-making task when students can really use the knowledge. So it also covers the area of Bloom's taxonomy, so higher order thinking skills. They learn, they adapt, and they can really use this knowledge in the context that is created by them. It can be also any email writing assignment, but if yes, what is their daily context that they might be, it might be valuable for them. Additionally, I think that any portfolio assessment, so any meeting, recorded speeches, as I mentioned, all in all, we wrap it up in their natural environment. So having our session finished, we end up with the question, okay, now next day, how I can really use this skill or knowledge in my business English environment. Without this question, we are just giving them tons of materials and that's it.
Yeah, I agree with that. As you elaborated, relevant to role play activities, negotiation, or to just give them any scenario to describe about it, to distribute them in groups, to share their ideas, whatever they have read or whatever they have heard. They have to elaborate it in their own wordings. If we talk about emails, so I believe that we have to let them to write emails by their own initially. If they do blunders, it's okay, but we have to give them environment. They would write it in informal ways. It's
Mm-hmm.
the teachers or educators, they will have to just make them correct or guide or assist them that what is the difference between informal or formal
Mm-hmm.
emails or wording or synonyms, the agree or disagree synonyms or vocabulary, which should be used
Mm-hmm.
in what context, and how to
Exactly.
start, how to end, what to conclude, and which things are initial to add it, and
Mm-hmm.
which things are not mandatory to mention to make it shorter.
Exactly. Yes, because time is the only value that we cannot multiply. So if we decide to push a lot into certain area and, for instance, work on writing emails, as you mentioned, it's a mandatory step just to evaluate whether it's needed and to what extent. So language doesn't work in a vacuum. If we simply give them some ideas about the language and certain skills, but we don't wrap them with their own case study, it's not going to work because this knowledge is not going to stick. It's going to vanish quicker than we think.
Yeah, I strongly believe that
Mhm.
we have to
Yeah.
give them idea as well. Only teaching language is not quite sufficient. We have to guide them in proper ways.
Yeah, it's also related with motivation and basically how our brains operate. So, without a clear goal, motivation, whether it's intrinsic or extrinsic, we cannot proceed with proper course curriculum and syllabus. So, that's why this communication needs analysis plus language assessment and a really honest conversation with everybody included in the course is so essential because it always helps to discover maybe some missing gaps or maybe some misconceptions that students really believe that they need to cram grammar, for instance, in order to go to point A or B. Very often it's not the case. I'm not saying it's always like that. I'm just talking more about some opportunities here.
Yeah, yeah, I believe the same.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have to go for another question.
Mhm.
Okay, how could instructors be updated with the trends and industry and developments?
Mhm. First, I would ask, I would start with the question that teachers, trainers, and instructors can begin with, whether they found their niche in business English, for instance, or any kind of niche, because it is relevant to any other language area. Once you find your niche, you can quickly make a decision which industry you would like to follow. So even though you don't have a niche, I would say a basic background in a little bit of certain industries might be helpful. So whether you enter certain websites, blogs, or magazines like Financial Times, Harvard Business Review, Bloomberg, TechCrunch, recently AI Magazine, McKinsey Insight, we have lots of ideas to choose from. But then I would start with this question: is this industry and the news from this industry going to help me? You can always ask, and this is what I highly recommend: ask your students what blogs, what articles, and maybe books they passionately read in order to continue their development. So that would be the first thing. Additionally, just to stay up to date and get inspired, because each one teaches one and sharing is caring, I would invite everybody to engage in professional communities.
Yeah.
They can be LinkedIn Business English groups, any teacher development Facebook groups, any online workshops, webinars, just to be very active. However, first asking this question: how I might benefit from this particular course, webinar, or maybe discussion. Because again, it's very easy to get lost in this abundance of choices and information. So be very thorough and honest in deciding about what workshops I really need to excel at business English as an instructor and really bring value for my students. Additionally, professionals can use AI for certain analysis. For instance, Perplexity, to ask about certain recent news about ABC in this industry. Again, I would also ask students to help me to choose and evaluate, is something really relevant? Because I might get a false impression that this news is going to help you and it's really important in your market, but maybe it's not. So again, we get back to discussion and communication. And again, from time to time, or maybe more often, it's always a personal decision, learning about certain digital tools, if they are going to help me, if they are going to elevate my teaching and training profession and also my students. Other LMS platforms, maybe I would like to use some AI writing assistants. If yes, okay, I can stay up to date and maybe ask a fellow teacher. This is something which I think very often is forgotten. Ask other professionals what works for them and just get
Yeah.
inspired.
Yeah, I agree with that point that sharing is caring. Another thing is there are multiple of webinars or workshops. Either it's online or physical. We don't have to miss any opportunity
Mhm.
to groom ourselves more, to be familiar with the technology or
Mhm.
resources, and we don't have to depend on only restricted books that. A
Mhm.
few books we do have and we just research on it now. According to new era, we have to grow.
Exactly, exactly. So, in terms of CPD and in general, the fact of many conferences, courses, and webinars available on the internet, just to check, before we enter, how I can really reuse, recycle, and connect everything that I'm going to learn with something that I either already know or maybe I think I know. Because it's very easy just to get into this trap of I need to be constantly present on certain conferences in order to develop. This is a kind of false conception. So I would just be careful with that. I did it myself, so I've been there, done that, and I tried to be present at so many conferences. And then at the end of a year, I experienced burnout because it turned out that not all of them were uplifting for my profession. It doesn't mean they weren't intriguing, valuable, but it simply meant that I had no container, no environment to use this knowledge and skill at, simply as it is.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's not only for teachers or educators, it is also helpful for students as well to develop themselves to be in environment. There are number of workshops or webinars for students as well to join it. If they do join, then it's really beneficial to them to be updated.
Mhm. Yes, exactly. This is also a help that we as business English trainers can provide. So give them some opportunities and propose them some webinars or ask them about certain conferences that they would like to attend. And for instance, if the conference is being held in their mother tongue, maybe ask them to prepare business English summary or review. So again, like we combine and we recycle everything that matters to them.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so let's move towards another question.
Mhm.
Why do some students forget quickly even after a well-planned lesson?
Mm. That is a powerful question, and there is no one size that fits all, and the answer cannot be simple because our brain, our memory is a very complicated field. So I will try to oversimplify it a bit by stating that first things first, let's all face the truth and see that forgetting is normal. There's nothing wrong with the fact that we forget. It's the part of how our brain prioritizes information. So like
I
if we
guess
don't.
it's relevant to emotions or the feelings we do have sometimes. We are burdenized, as you mentioned. It's related to it, relevant to emotions.
Might be, but not necessarily. Think about it that way. Sometimes you don't get enough time for proper sleep. So you wake up in the morning and basically your whole day you are operating on energy. Deprivation. So this is normal that you are not going to attain and code certain information in the way like you wake up fully energized. That's one thing. Additionally, we very often forget about certain environment where we actually learn. So if this environment is stressful, i.e. the tasks are too difficult, the cortisol level is going to increase and we are going to shut down. But cortisol is not bad. We need a proper level of cortisol. So to create this kind of salience and balance, because cortisol is needed for our alertness. And without alertness, we cannot learn. So there are multiple factors that play a giant role in the fact that very often students forget. So I would state another message here that it's not always the fact that students don't like the subject, the course, or the session, or maybe they are absolutely disrespectful. They don't like the teacher. Sometimes they are cognitively overloaded, or sometimes the way that the lesson is presented and delivered is not the way that is helping students. So to fight forgetting, we can, for instance, use spaced repetition. So this idea of reviewing after increased intervals, retrieval practice, and basically create and design this model that is going to help students to actually retrieve this information. So very often, and most likely, I would say, it's not about doing more. So more examples and more maybe grammar explanation, but very often it's about doing smarter. For instance, instead of long reviews, maybe short focus reviews after specific time gap, i.e. starting each session with 3 minutes of retrieval practice with certain questions. We can model, teachers can model it by using maybe some warm-up quizzes. The idea of exit tickets. So at the end of every session, you ask certain questions. It's a powerful tool that can help both sides, because it can help in spotting the knowledge gap or any potential misinformation. Using some signs, color signs. I love the idea of street lights. So for instance, at the end of the lesson, students give green light if they understood the material. Yeah, yellow, orange one if it rings a bell, but they are pretty unsure. And the red if this is a total black hole for them. So I and anybody that is using this method, I get the signal that, okay, maybe next session I should start with some retrieval practice, or maybe try to tackle this goal and the field from different perspective. Then, just to try to cover as many, given the time we have, very often we face the illusion of learning. So students feel they understand, but they haven't practiced retrieving. Yeah, so like everything is just in kind of theory phase. So here, for instance, using such techniques like Feynman technique, so asking one student to explain the topic or skill to another student, and just to check if they are able to explain it using the simplest language possible.
Yeah.
Why students also forget without spaced repetition? It's normal that they will forget. If we overload them cognitively, they are going to forget even in the same day, or they just get or end up with 10% of the information that were presented on a given day.
Yeah, I do have mutual understanding, as you mentioned, relevant to their interest and their energy. First of all, their energy. It is mandatory. If they are in class, if they are not energetic, then obviously they won't participate like that as they are expected. Another thing is they don't take interest sometimes because they can't understand the lecture, or sometimes they don't like the teacher, or the way of the lecture delivering by the teacher, or there could be another thing like his or her personal experiences
Mhm.
relevant to emotion as well, we can say somehow, or sometimes learning capacity. So that is the teacher to evaluate that student, particularly to give him or her special attention, that what is his or her lack point, to
Mhm.
especially work on that purpose now.
That's correct. I would be careful with entering the classroom and getting this conception that students must be energetic, because, introverts might need completely different environment than people who are just by their genes, upbringing, and the fact of their personal character, they are more energetic. So it doesn't mean that if your students are working in a certain calm sense of flow, that they are not acquiring knowledge and skill. However, again, it starts with knowing your students. So focusing not only on the material that you are going to teach, but also knowing something about your students. So for instance, with neurodivergent students, how they would like the material to be presented. Maybe the class that you are today entering into needs a little bit more calmer environment. So it's going to shut down when the energy is going to skyrocket. It's working on a very sensitive area, even though we have certain principles of how we learn and how our brains operate. At the same time, we have our own beautiful design in terms of nervous system. So some people are simply more prone to feeling exhausted when the environment is too loud. Some people cope with it slightly better. So again, it's just a mastery of discovery and mutual connection, and
Yeah,
finding the best solution. Sometimes it's a long journey to find.
yeah, it is. We have to characterize them, no? That
Mhm,
what they really need or require. It
mhm.
depends on it.
Yeah. Sometimes observing students while they work or asking them simple questions, helping them to enter the stage of reflecting on their own learning might give us essential knowledge. How they learn at home. These are some ideas that are so simple that very often we forget about them. For instance, that we need to have breaks, but the break, it's not the situation when after one session or lesson you just go to your social media or you run around and you scream, like you don't help your nervous system to regulate. The break is not the fact that you just close your Zoom and you just check your emails. Airing out the room, the classroom, allowing your students to move around, just to help them with blood pressure, with sense of energy that has to flow. These are some small components like hydration, but when we put everything on top, it can make a huge role. So it's not only
Yeah.
about finding the best solution, the best app, the most beautifully designed resources. Sometimes it's about simple things that you can incorporate straight away, no matter the classroom.
Yeah, sometimes it happens that even we delivered very well, that time a student got it, but after sometimes he or she forgets it. I think that is because of the study gap. If there is gap for a few days or a week or two, then they forget it
Mhm,
because they are not in practice. So these are the teachers to give them assessments time by
mhm,
time. They have to assess them that how shallow they are. Are they just getting or absorbing the lecture the the content or
mhm,
not? For
mhm.
that purpose, they have to give different tests according to them, the lectures which the teacher or educator delivered.
Yes, sometimes the simple change in nomenclature can make a huge difference because business English professionals have no problem with the fact that we call certain task assessment task. However, other students like children, teenagers might be overly critical and stressed about it. So here,
Hmm.
I would always vote to help any student, no matter the subject and skill, to design learning environment, to really show them how their brain works. Teachers do not have to be scientists. They can adapt scientific mindset and just start with principles and help their students to design learning journey by informing that it's better to spend every second day with 10 minutes activity that is going to retrieve this information instead of doing it once a week for 1 full hour. This is one of the principles. And then asking students and professionals, what is the best day in your week that you can really spend these 10 minutes? Is it in the morning, in the afternoon? Let's just check your calendar. So when we approach it in that way, I believe that we can stop this idea of assessment only, but we create this container for them and make this available so they can become lifelong learners. And learning is not going to feel like a burden for them because they understand how they learn and we help them and guide.
Hmm. Indeed. Okay. So let's move towards another question.
Mhm.
What small evidence based changes can teachers make tomorrow align their teaching with how their brain really learns? I think
Mm.
it's relevant to the previous things, whatever we have elaborated.
A bit, yeah. However, we can add a few things to that. That is absolutely significant question, and I hope that one day, maybe at least for one semester, it will be mandatory at every university, no matter the subject. So, apart from retrieval practice that I mentioned, I would underline exit tickets. So finishing your lesson with certain questions. There are tons of ways you can do that. You can focus on metacognition. You can focus on the knowledge itself. What was easy for me? What can I do? How I can connect what I learned today with something I already know. So we activate students' prior knowledge. And this is essential because to put it simple, let's everybody, you Sidra included, picture right now folders that you have on your computer. Can you do that?
Yeah.
You see folders. And now picture a web, spider's web, for instance. So the information is not coded in folders, like individually, that there is no connection. It's coded in the way of a web. So it means that the more connections, the more activation to prior knowledge, the more context, the more ideas for using one specific element, knowledge or skill, the more we create of that, the more chances that we are going to strengthen these connections, create new connections, and it's not going to fade away. So that's why it's essential to check prior knowledge and then give students a chance and ability, help them to create this ability to multiply examples in the context that matters for them. And one thing that I think is mandatory, should be mandatory, is dual coding whenever it's possible. So let's try to combine visuals and language, visuals and text to help better understand the idea. It doesn't have to be beautifully designed picture by AI. It can be a simple graph or an emoji or pictogram. Depending on the context and the subject, you will find the best spot for your dual coding. And last, we have more, but the last I think might be easy to use for everybody is building reflection habit. So pausing to think, allowing your students to discuss, connect the knowledge, maybe create reflection journal, or from time to time ask them why you think it's important. What do you think about this skill? What do you think about this information? Can you write down what you remember from last lesson and tell me how it matters? So a little bit of critical thinking. We don't need to create entire philosophical lesson. Critical thinking can be just, a small thing that you sprinkle the whole session with. Yeah, so I would say it's already a lot, and it's going to help students and also teachers, because I think there's nothing better when the teacher observes students thrive. They thrive and they really develop. They have this sense of belonging to the learning environment. They really know why they are here and they are satisfied. And it creates a great connection between all sides.
Yeah, I do agree with these all insights as you have elaborated according to your expertise or qualifications. These are really helpful for our audience, whether they are educators or learners. I hope they would have got it very well. The questions they would have in their minds. As a student or as an instructor,
Mhm.
especially it is very helpful for English language educators. So that is really precious insights which you have shared. You may just showcase your expertise right now, the services you provide relevant to your English language organization for English sake to our
Mhm.
audience, so they could approach you if they
Mm.
want.
Yes, feel free to contact me. As I said, apart from theory and practice, the language is a guided assisted discovery. That's why I call, for English sake, an educational lab, because we constantly make experiments, because there is no one size that fits all. And we need to be brave just to allow ourselves just to try something new or maybe change. Sometimes we change one particular component and tada, the magical formula for this particular group appears and is created. it. So thank you for having me. And if anybody has further questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can also enter my website and join my community by newsletter. You will be getting free resources, tips related not only to science of learning, but for English for specific purposes, psychology, a little bit of philosophy of education, everything that is going to fly around our brains, consciousness, and mind. So feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah, they would indeed reach you out because it's relevant to your expertise or qualifications. You know very well, having multiple of the years experience.
Though I must say that it's always good to reach out with people that are absolutely new in the field, because this is another opportunity for me to learn, and certain questions that are asked either by teachers, professionals, students, or parents, they also help me to reflect. And sometimes I am caught between a rock and a hard place with the question that I would never thought about. So that is the beauty of sharing the knowledge. So I am open for learning from anybody that is going to reach out to me.
Yeah, it's been really nice session with you. As you know, I have done multiple of the sessions with different educators. It's hardly for 30 to 35 minutes, and now we have done it almost 1 hour. It's amazing. I am really enjoying this conversation. The insights you are sharing, these are indeed very fruitful to all of us. We would like to hear about more relevant to your knowledge or expertise.
That's why, as I said, first of all, thank you for having me, and thank you for doing it, Sidra, for allowing all educators from all around the world just to get inspired by others' stories and expertise. And I can also not only for English sake, I can also introduce you and invite you to Educast International Conference that is going to happen in February, which is absolutely free, and the goal is the same: just to share knowledge, expertise, stories, useful tips and tricks that can help to elevate your teaching, not only in terms of language. So feel free to join us and get inspired, simply.
It's remarkable, really appreciated. It's been really nice time with you, and I am really grateful for your precious time.
I'm very grateful for the invitation. Happy to share everything that I gathered. And I can wish everybody all the best and open mindset. Sprinkled with bravery, because teachers must be brave. Times from one side are difficult, from other side they enable us to really use technology, and we have total world library in our hands. So let's use everything wisely, and let's help our students to become better human beings.
Definitely, most welcome. I would see you with another topic in future soon.
Yes, all the best. Thank you, Sidra. Good luck with everything you do, and all the best for everybody.
Likewise. Okay, take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.